Hi, it's Russ from Pro Tools Expert, and I want to show you a little trick to add some character to backbeats and to drum parts that isn't normally achieved using EQs. And one of the good tricks is to use the Vintage Aural Exciter from Waves. For those of you who are as ancient as me, then I remember getting actually a Type C, which was later than this one we're going to use. And the early Vintage Aural Exciters, they were like magic. They were like audio voodoo. The only problem was that in the early 80s, when we were messing with them, we tended to put too much on, and so a lot of mixes then sounded really bright, and they sounded like you were being attacked by a marauding gang of razor blades. They were so sharp, but used sensitively, let's put it like that, and knowing the kind of tipping points on the way that the Vintage Aural Exciter works, it can be really cool. I've got a backbeat here driven by Stylus from Spectrasonics, and I'm going to use this to add some character to the beat. And also I'm going to show you then on some strings as well, just to get some, to do the opposite to strings and to take some of the mid-range out of strings. So there's a couple of tricks I'm going to show you here, but mainly I want to concentrate on the drum kit here. So I've got this track, not bad. What I'm going to do now is just take the mix down on this for a second. Now the mode I've got it in is the mix 2 mode. There's two modes for this. There's four modes actually, but there's two when you're using it as an insert. You can either use this as an insert or you can use it as a send. But even when you use it as an insert, there's two modes. There's mix 1 and mix 2. One acts as if it's working like the old send and return used to work on them, and the other one's working as if it works like an insert. So I'm going for mix 2, and you can get some more details by just hitting the question mark there, and it'll open up and explain you those in details. But mix 2 is the one I want for this to get the result I want. So if I play this beat again now, take it out of bypass and start pushing this in. So I'm using it for character rather than just top end. Once you get about 6 or 7, it really starts to, you can hear that going. If you pass the 7 point, you see top end come back in, but around here, about there, there's a tipping point. There's the original. Now, those who've heard me talk before, I'm a real proponent of getting some centre back into the EQ, and whilst that's quite not bad already, you can really grunge it there if you can hear that. And as I said, there's a tipping point, so if you keep it going, come round and you start to get the 80s mix, come back this way, and you can hear that there's more snare there now. Starts doing some more low mid there, back here. There's the original. So just by moving this, and most people probably aren't aware of this, using it in mix 2 and moving this, you can really get some variation. I like it about there. Let's hear that again now. Let's hear it in the track now.
Hear me, I know you're with me, I know you love
There's the original.
me, you're still here, you've never left my side, you've been
That
here
snare's really
all
cutting
the
through now.
while, wanting to talk with me, and you're still here. You're still here.
So if you're using the Aphex Aural Exciter already, then this is a cool way of just giving drum loops in particular some real character. Now the second thing I mentioned at the start of this video is using it on strings. I've got some strings here. So on strings I'm doing a different thing this time. I'm actually using it just to take the center out this time. It's going the opposite way. And in mix 1 mode, this is why at 0.7 here in mix 1, it's doing a very different thing than it does in mix 2. If I play you this string part on its own for a second, there's the originals. Now let me just change the mix mode. So it's almost flipped it the other way now. It's giving me some air in those strings. And again, I don't want to overcook the cake, so you just choose your tipping point. And again, in the track, you can hear that just giving some air to those strings. Incredibly creative string part. So I hope that's given you a real example of the kind of things you can do with the vintage Aural Exciter. As I say, on one side we're grunging up and the other side we're adding air and lightness. And that's all to do with how you choose these mix controls here. So give it a go. If you've not tried it before, download it. You might find it's a useful tool in your arsenal. It's very specific. It's one of those things that people would probably not choose to buy. But actually it's one of those things that sometimes you get out and it's the only thing that will do the job. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.